Yeah, hi guys. Sorry I'm not there today. I'm out doing some training, so this will be a lesson, and I've asked the relief teacher to press play for me. So, yeah, apologies. But what I'd like to go through today is we do have a couple of assessment tasks coming up. I want to go through those and just a quick touch on control of cell division because that's what we were doing last week. And apart from that, yeah, I'll give you some tasks that you can go on with in this time. So uh, first of all, I would like to say that unfortunately you may have encountered some troubles accessing the Edpuzzle video last week on meiosis, and maybe even this week. This is a known problem. I've contacted Edpuzzle, and they said the problem was their end, and they're working on a solution. So keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, you've got your weekly Atomy work videos and questions to do, and I will encourage you to go back and watch those Edpuzzle videos as soon as they're available. Yeah, keep trying. All right, so yes, apologies about that one as well. So the second thing I wanted to cover with you today is let's go revisit the subject outline. And so if you go to our general channel of our biology course, there's the course outline there. I just thought I'd point out along the way, also in here, there's a folder called the completion prac. That's the osmosis one that we're doing on the come-in day. The deconstruct prac, which we're also doing on the come-in day. And this is the SAT test, the SAT task, skills and application task that you should be working on this week. And that's the SHE task that we've already done. So the course outline. So we've been following it pretty well in term one. We were virtually 100% on it. Term two, we've deviated a little bit. So this week 6, we should just be talking about some assessment tasks and practical skills in preparation for next week, which is the practical come-in day on the Friday, and that's super important. And over week 5 and week 6, you'll know that this is the deconstruct and design and the science inquiry skills task that I've spoken to you about last week. That is due this Thursday. You just need to find a 2-hour window. I've sent you an email. It outlines the instructions clearly. So if you haven't found that email, now's the time. Go and check that out so you can see what the instructions are. Basically, you'll need to set aside 2 hours where you can do deconstruct a problem and write a response to a SHE question. Like I said, those details are in the email. If you have any trouble finding it, then email me and I'll certainly help you out there. So yes, in regards to the practical day, there was the third thing I wanted to talk about today. That's coming up next week in week 7 on the Friday, and another separate email that I would have sent you outlines the instructions for the day, the location, the date, the time that we'll be running for, and what needs to happen. You need to sign in and what you should bring and all those details. And absolutely, very importantly, I need your consent form with your name, your parents' name. I'm assuming you're under 18, and we need a signature. and parent details in case of emergency. And there's a few more details about what's happening on the day. Alright, so it's really important that you fill those out, scan them, and email them to me before we can undertake the practicals. So please do that for practical day on Friday the 16th of June, which is it's coming up in in a couple of weeks. All right. So I think I've already mentioned about the skills and application task that's due on Thursday, but I'll just go in here, go back a step, class materials, and here's instructions on the task. You'll find in this folder, here's the article that you'll be doing the your SHE response on when you open up your exam.net and put in the code. I've added the code in the email. The other thing you'll find there is an exemplar of a really good one that someone did a previous year. The exemplar, people like to see what an A would look like, so you can see what you're aiming for. Obviously, you will have a different problem to deconstruct than what this person did, and they wrote about a different article than what you are getting, than what you've got there. All right, so that's that task. While you're there, you might want to have a look at the completion practical, another exemplar, a couple of videos there, part 1 and part 2, of me going through how to write a good practical report. Could be handy to watch that, and a little cheat sheet on the difference between validity, reliability, and accuracy, because it's really good to talk about those in your practical. And just to finish off, I thought I'd just cover a little bit of detail on the cell cycle, control of cell division, for those who didn't get it from the video because the video wasn't available. But basically, the cell most of the time is in interphase, but when it needs to divide, it goes through mitosis. But most of the time it's living in the state of just existing and doing all of its cellular functions and making proteins and using energy and all the good things that cells do. And this cycle is controlled by these checkpoints, that if you don't have certain conditions met, the cell won't continue through its cycle. It'll just stay in the state that it's in. So through interphase, you've got 2 checkpoints, G1 and G2, and in mitosis itself, you've got a 3rd checkpoint there that conditions need to be met. The checkpoint 1 here is in the gap 1, G1, or growth 1 phase. That's where the cell will just stop there until it's accumulated enough energy in the form of ATP or glucose or oil, and it has received signals, external signals, in order to divide, and that signal comes in the form of growth factor. If all those conditions are met, then it will proceed past that checkpoint and will go into the S phase. And we know what happens in S. S is synthesis, DNA synthesis. We did that in the first topic, how DNA gets replicated. So then it stops again at G2 and will only proceed past that checkpoint once DNA replication has occurred properly. So it's a bit of an error checking mechanism, and there's this presence of this molecule called MPF, mitosis promoting factor. Well, what else would kick off mitosis other than a mitosis promoting factor? And then it'll go through prophase, metaphase, and stop again. And it's only after the MPF has started to disappear, degenerate, that it will continue through anaphase, telophase, and cytokinesis. So I'll go through that in a lot more detail in the videos, so check those out. The other thing I'll say is, as it's gone through, one cell is going to go off and become a specialized cell. So if it was needed more nerve cells, that'll go off and be a nerve cell. And once it's differentiated into a nerve cell, it doesn't become anything else. Okay, it's stuck there. It doesn't keep dividing. But the other cell stays undifferentiated and can keep going as many times as needed. So it could be just paused at a checkpoint. You fall over, graze your knee, and need skin cells. The scab grows over underneath. The skin cells are dividing, and it is proceeding through this until it needs to stop. And again, in the video, I talk about how growth factors bind to the outside. The proteins send those signals, which they're called relay proteins, send signals to the DNA where it'll continue to grow, divide, and go through that cell cycle. Cancer is where it has faulty checkpoints where it's meant to stop. It doesn't stop. I know I'm going through this quickly, but like I've said a few times, it is in the video. You can pause it, rewind, fast forward, that sort of thing, and ask me questions in emails if you would like. So normal cells, it's controlled. If it's got an organized layer and it's full, it stops, and they're specialized. They're differentiated cells. They've got special functions. Cancer cells, however, they've got uncontrolled growth. They keep growing and growing. That's why cancer is usually in the form of a mass of cells. It's disorganized, but just having more cells doesn't mean it's doing its function, because they're undifferentiated cells. They're not doing the job they're meant to do, and they just form a lump in the tissue. So that's, because they keep going through the cycle without hitting the checkpoints. So look, that's what I wanted to cover. What I'd like you to do for the rest of the lesson and for homework, you should have your SAT 2 that we talked about, the deconstruct and the she task that you have to do in the 2-hour window. If you haven't already done it, now's the time to do it. You'll find 2 hours to do it before Thursday when it's due. Check your emails. That might be your homework there, because it's got instructions on that. Also, make sure you get if you haven't done your permission form, your consent form for the come-in day, you might want to use this time now. Or you could use this time to revise for your cells test. Or you could go back and revise the first topic we covered. How would you go about revision? You could do your atomy things again. You could do your Education Perfect that I gave you access to last week. Or you could go back and watch some of those older Edpuzzle videos, assuming you still got access to them. So there's heaps of things you could be doing for the rest of this lesson and for homework. Email me if you're stuck on anything. But otherwise, I hope you have a really good week. And I will see you when I get back to the college. Thanks. Bye.